Have you ever been so tired, like all day, you're just so tired, and then you go to get in the bed at night and you literally cannot fall asleep? You guys, I have so been there. If that is you, I can relate. I used to be I would feel so exhausted during the day, and I would get in bed at night and be like, oh yes, get to go to sleep. But I just couldn't fall asleep. I don't know that there's really anything more frustrating than that, knowing how important sleep is and that you need sleep. You want to go to sleep so bad, but you just can't fall asleep. And so I hear this a lot from the clients that I work with. And so if that's you as well, I want you to stick around because I'm going to help you understand what two hormones are out of balance, the steps that you can take to fix these so that you can be well on your way to some great night's sleep. All right, so when we have the issue of being tired but can't sleep, a lot of times there is an imbalance in two main hormones. Those are cortisol and melatonin. So let's talk about these two really quickly. So cortisol, and honestly, you've probably heard about these two before. They're not necessarily new hormones to you, the names anyway, but I want to help you understand exactly what they do in the body and why it matters when they're off. So cortisol. Cortisol is really our get up and go hormone. It should be highest in the morning and slowly, gradually fall throughout the day. Melatonin is our restful, peaceful, good night's sleep hormone, let's say. And it rises at night. So these two hormones are sort of antagonistic. When one is high, the other one is low, or that's how it should be anyway. And so you might be wondering, if you know melatonin helps you go to sleep at night, what makes it low? So the main thing that really impacts your melatonin is your cortisol, of course. So high cortisol inhibits the production of melatonin. So let's dig in a little bit to what causes high cortisol. So it's also known as the stress hormone. And you've probably heard this because it's more popular now, which is great. I think we should know more about cortisol. And it's not that we should have no cortisol, it's that it should be in balance and it should be the right levels for the right time of day, right? It's the get up and go hormone. You don't want to be getting up and going when you are ready to go to sleep, right? You want to do that in the morning. And so it is the stress hormone. So stress on our body can cause it to be higher than it should. And when I say stress, you might be thinking of emotional stress, but there is many types of stress. And you also may be thinking of an exact situation, like an argument or an issue you had at work. But there's a lot of other things that cause stress on our body. So the definition of stress is our body's response to changes or demands. And so in knowing that, let's look at a few things that do cause stress and therefore increase cortisol on our body. Undereating can cause increased cortisol. Not getting enough nutrients because of undereating can also cause stress on your body. Toxins, like things that we clean our home with, mold, paint, food, pharmaceuticals, toxins, and all of those things can cause undue stress on our body. Fasted cardio or over-exercising can cause stress on our body. Or sunlight exposure, and we're going to get to a little tip about that in a minute. Lack of movement can also cause stress on your body, right? We need to have movement, but not so much that it's just too much for our body, right? Also, lack of sleep, which is the very thing that we know we need, that causes stress on our body. So all of those things combined, you can see why it's easy that we have too much cortisol all day long. And so what that does is it really burns out your system, right? Over time, your cortisol maybe doesn't get as high in the morning, or maybe it gets high and stays high. It depends on what area of kind of the stress journey you're in. But just thinking about having too much cortisol will inhibit melatonin. And so this is way more than just, stress from, like I said, from a relationship or something like that. Your body is getting stressed from a lot of different angles. So, if this goes on for days and weeks and months and even years, you really begin to feel wired yet tired almost every day. And it's a cycle that we really want to break out of, right? And so let's talk about how we can do that. Really, the best way to break free from the cycle is to get your cortisol back into balance, and most of the time, melatonin will follow suit. So let's talk about 3 ways that we can get our cortisol back into balance. Number one is to decrease our toxic load. As I mentioned, a lot of things that we put in, on, and around us. This includes, some people in some situations, right? And that's kind of, we know we need to decrease that type of stress load on our body. But what about the toxins that we are just inundated with every single day? One of the easiest things to do is just simply look at your products that you're using in your home and try to ditch and switch those. So whether it's cleaning or personal care, anything from lotions to perfumes to hair care, there's lots of different areas that we can look at. We all want our home to smell good, but what are those chemicals doing as far as our toxic load? That's something that I really want to encourage you to look at, because honestly, this is one of the easiest ways to begin making this shift of decreasing stress on our body. Is to just simply look at the products that we're bringing in. And so I'm going to give you a great resource in the comments. So check that out in the description of this video, and you can go ahead and see where you rate on this and kind of get started in decreasing some of the toxic load. So number two is get sunlight in the morning. So it's so important to get your circadian rhythm back in check and get your cortisol being, as high in the morning and your melatonin being high at night. That starts in the morning with direct sunlight on your skin and, being outside. It's so important to help reset that system. And it can actually trigger your body to make more melatonin by getting sunlight first thing in the morning. So this is a really easy, free thing you can do, is to just step outside, maybe, after you eat your breakfast, or, if you're on your way to work or dropping the kids off or whatever it might be. Just make a note to get some of that sunlight on your skin for at least a couple of minutes in the morning. It's great if you can do it throughout the day, because where the sun's at, the positioning of the sun, all of that stuff really does affect your circadian rhythm. So if we can get that back in check, that's going to help us sleep better at night. And then last but not least, is just try to get off the screens at night. You guys probably have heard this before, but if you watch TV, at night before you go to bed, can really mess up your sleep cycle. And so try just reading a book or just being off a device for at least 30 minutes before you go to sleep will be a really great step in the right direction. If at the very least, if you're going to watch a Netflix show with your husband or whatever it might be, at least wear blue light blocking glasses at night to minimize the effect that this has on your circadian rhythm. So I hope you've enjoyed these tips. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you did enjoy them, give me a thumbs up below. And also, if you want more tips on women's integrative health, natural living, and essential oils, press the subscribe button below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.